Debbie Dennis, and I am going to record this today without an actual classroom because I am a teacher trainer now, or an instructional coach. I don't actually have a classroom and haven't for the last 4 years, and so I thought it would be smarter to do a lesson that I actually teach teachers, and maybe you guys can use this in your classrooms this next year to help with comprehension, to help perhaps with summaries, and those kind of things. I've actually used this with my own children who are in college and with essay preparations, and the organization piece of this makes it so much easier for students as they're working through this process. So I want to take you first to the research because that's where I always take my teachers. And this is what's called Scarborough's reading rope. And on this rope, it's just a visual representation of the areas of the brain and in literacy development, what needs to be the primary factors that we teach. Notice that each of these strands are separate. That's because these skills should be taught at separate times. We have the top strands, which have more components. Actually, this is where we'll be concentrating today on the language comprehension side. We have the background knowledge. We know that is vital. Vocabulary knowledge, language structures, verbal reasoning, and literary knowledge or literacy knowledge. Those are the 5 top strands of this rope. On the bottom, Scarborough put word recognition because language comprehension plus word recognition together equals fluency and comprehension. Those things apart, if one piece of that rope is not connected, that is where the difficulty will be in your child having comprehension. And so we need to make sure that we're strategic and explicit in teaching each of these strands. At the bottom, we have something called word recognition. This is phonological awareness. When a baby is first born and they babble, that is automatically phonological awareness. That can be done in the dark. You don't even have to have lights on because it's only the sound development of the language. Next, we have decoding and spelling, which is our phonics piece, and then we have sight recognition. I think an interesting fact for you is if you were to pull the New York Times paper, 50% of the words in the New York Times are sight words. So if we do not teach those, because we know they're not decodable, if we don't teach them directly and explicitly, a student might miss half of the paper when they read it. Some of you may think, well, there's not much to read there anyway, but just thought I would add that little bit of information. Skilled reading is the offset of all of this, and that's when they are just fluent. Fluency runs through the middle, and they are comprehending what they read. So that takes us to an activity that I want to share with you called Connect, Correct, Collect. And I actually am doing this in my living room, so you'll wonder, we need to paint these walls probably, don't look too closely. We're doing it about greyhounds, and greyhounds are something that maybe not everyone is real familiar with, so what I would suggest for you, as I would with anything, to build background knowledge, you want to take your students and explore greyhounds with them prior to this activity, whether it be with a nonfiction text, whether it be with a picture book of greyhounds for younger teachers, however you might think about presenting that information to them, just so they have a little background before you go into this activity. It will help your oral discussion go much better. And I'm going to actually call on my sweet husband, Steve, who is videoing me today to maybe give some answers to these questions. And this will be pre-reading, so we won't have this information yet, just what we have in our background knowledge. And then we'll write that information here. And then in the correct column, after we read the passage, we will correct any misinformation we've had. And in the last column, the collect column, if there's additional information that we just think is important and vital, we'll add that into that column. So that'll kind of explain to you. It's a lot like a KWL chart, but so often teachers do the K and the W, and how often do we come back to that L, right? If we were being honest. So we're going to look at it this way. And first question that I would ask my classroom is, how fast can greyhounds run? Anybody want to give a thought about that, Steve?
20 miles an hour.
20 miles an hour. So we're going to put his information right here. 20 miles. And I could just put MPH. That would be a lot quicker. Okay, and then the second question is, what makes greyhounds so fast?
Their muscle structure.
Oh, we've got a smart student in the room. Their muscle structure. Okay, the next question is, how long have greyhounds existed?
Since the beginning of time.
Ooh, that's a long time ago. Since the beginning of time. Goodness, wonder if they were on the ark long ago. Since the beginning. We'll just put that. Well, no, we might better make it a little more expounded. It's the beginning of time. Okay, and the last question, do greyhounds make good pets?
Only if they're on the side of a bus.
Only on the side of a bus. There's a little humor in that, I think.
I would say no.
Yes or no? No. Okay, we're going to put a no for that. No. Only on the side of a bus. All right, now at this point, as we've gotten this information, I would have a passage that I would hand them. And, or either that, or if it's small children, I would put it up on a smart board and we would just look at it together with the different paragraphs. And so now then, as we read through this, we're kind of have to speed through this because I think my video may be a little long. So I'm just going to read it to you to make it quicker. Greyhounds are amazing dogs that have had a great grand past and have had different roles. They are the fastest dogs in the world with top speeds of over 45 miles per hour. Greyhounds are as smart as they are fast and make good house pets. Okay, so I think we got some good information for that first paragraph. And actually this reminds me of close reading because we're examining this text closely to draw the information out of it. So we had said 20 miles per hour. Class, what do you think? What was the text? What did it say? How
45.
fast? 45 miles an hour. So we're going to just put a little mark through that and correct that information. 45 miles per hour. Okay, so that was some new information. And I don't know that we had much information to collect there, except for that they are smart. Did we talk about them being smart? No. So we'll just put that. They are smart. Okay, so now we're going to continue to the second paragraph. Here we go. Why is a greyhound so fast? A greyhound runs with a special gallop. Most dogs run like horses. At top speed, there is a time when all four legs are off the ground, contracted under their body. This is the only time all 4 feet are off the ground. When a greyhound runs, there are 2 times when all 4 feet are off the ground. One time is just like it is for most dogs and horses. All 4 feet off the ground and contracted under the body. A second time has all 4 feet off the ground and extended in front of and in back of the body. At this time, the greyhound is flying in the air. This time of flight extends the greyhound's stride and speed. This kind of running is tiring, so a greyhound cannot run too far, but for as far as it runs, it is fast. Okay, so we just learned something about what makes greyhounds so fast. Is it their muscle structure, or is it something a little bit different? What do you think?
It's different.
It is different, so we need to correct that information. And we'll correct it by, and just for quickness, they actually
have a gallop.
They have a gallop. They do. They have a gallop. And it went a little bit further, and it said it's like they are flying in the air. So they fly in the air. That's amazing information right there. So as we continue, we would go on through this, but for time reasons, we're going to stop right here. But not with the video, because we have a second part of this that we would take the kids to. And that part is where they would each have note card, maybe Post-its, or if you just wanted to cut paper, you could. And you would give them 9 of these. And I'm going to trade this out and put this paper up so you can see it. And this is how I would arrange their note cards. They would put them in this order. 1 at the top, 4 in the middle, 4 underneath. Their main idea goes at the top. So on their first card that they have stacked in their pyramid,